Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. We don't know what time of day you're listening in, but this is BE Bonafide.
With your girls, Brittany and Erica. We're tuning in with us a few minutes out of your day may give you the tools for a bona fide lifestyle. Yes.
How are you?
I am doing good. I'm a little tired. It's been a long week, but not really at the same time because I only worked 3 days this week. The busiest 3 days of my life is what it seems like.
I can definitely relate. This week has been absolutely bonkers. But
not bonkers.
Yeah, that was a real
I haven't heard nobody
word.
say that in a long time.
Don't judge me.
No, do you, boo? Do you? I was like, she said bonkers. I try to just go past it, but it's okay. I could.
I mean, that just describes my week. So there you go. So for those of you that are new to our channel, we are about authenticity and challenging your own perspective on whether you're living this one life true to yourself. So welcome in and join us on this journey of self-discovery.
Yes. And it will be a journey for those who are new, our new bona fide baddies and daddies. Welcome. Well, I said new. Welcome in. For the first time, it will be truly a journey from top to bottom, from left to right, all over, so in circles, because we do come back to some of the same topics, but kind of like a different perspective on some of them, because you have to like reapply some things, especially as life continues on. Again, life naturally has a way of stripping you from your authenticity, so that's why we do that.
It is.
Yes. And so for our first segment that we always have in our podcast episodes, it is our say what?
Say.
Yes. And this is like our positive news section, or I don't know, just something related to authenticity that we want to share. And so it is my turn this week. This week I was looking at some articles related to authenticity and signs of whether you are living someone else's life or a life for someone else. Yes. And so the articles I found, one was from medium.com. The other one was from learning-mind.com. And so for one article, what it talked about is how you know that you're living life for someone else is that it feels like you're just checking items off of a checklist. Like you're checking off what you should do versus what you actually want to do in life. And that's how you know that you're living life for someone else, which was a great point, actually. And then for the second article I had, it's entitled 8 Warning Signs You Are Living Your Life for Someone Else. And so I will briefly go. Some of them are self-explanatory, but it's from a 2017 article by a person, Kirtsey Percy. And so the overall gist was, have you ever felt like you were living a life meant for someone else? The following warning signs might mean that you should, make your own dreams a priority going forward. And so the first one is you give in to others' demands all the time. Just look to the side. Are we talking about you a little bit, Erica? Are we talking about me a little bit?
I felt that one. I really felt that one.
That's the first one. And so the second one, you avoid thinking about things too much. And that's because you're drowning in you're drowning out the thoughts with TV, with social media, with your vices, so that you don't have to think about what you're currently doing in your life, which I thought was interesting. 3, you're only doing what you are doing because it is safe. And that's it. Okay. 4, you're often bored or dissatisfied, which would make sense if you're living life for someone else and not doing something that makes you happy. 5, you are addicted to something. And so you're numbing yourself to pain, you're numbing yourself to negativity, because which could also be a warning sign that you might be living life for someone else. Number 6, you feel sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah, because they were saying how life should be like full of excitement and enthusiasm, and which it should. Again, we only have one.
That's right.
You only have one. So if you're feeling sick and tired of feeling and being sick and tired, then that's another sign. And then 2 more. Number 7, you aren't connecting with others in a meaningful way because you may be wearing a mask. And it's hard to do that when you're wearing a mask to face the world. And so it's going to be hard to form meaningful connections. And the last one, you are working hard but getting nowhere. And so if your heart is not in what you're doing, it might be a little, difficult to achieve success in some of your goals because your heart's not all the way there. And so,
makes sense.
Yeah. And so overall, the author, she was like, it's always possible to get back on track, and don't spend precious time here on earth living someone else's life. Yes.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, which we talked about a little bit about last year, last episode. We talked a little bit about that last episode because we had a quote by Steve Jobs that was talking about not living, someone else's life with this one life that you have. And so I thought that was pretty cool to mention this. Again, our topic is authenticity, and our topic is going to hit on that a lot. The authenticity, whether you're living, a true, like an authentic life, but also, I'm not going to tell you the topic yet. But it's really related, related in general to what we talk about every week. So I hope this gets you all thinking, because it definitely got me thinking about some things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that is on me now. So I'll tell y'all what our introspection conception is today.
Yes.
So our topic today, of course, we're always talking about being authentic. So in some sort of way. So our topic today is breaking free from unrealistic expectations. So we're going to compare perfectionism versus authenticity.
Yes. Yes. And actually thinking about this topic, it actually had me thinking on a deeper level than I thought that it would. Like, I really was reflecting on some things within my own life, but we'll get to that a little later.
Okay. Well, first, let's go ahead and define what's the difference between authenticity and perfectionism.
Okay.
So perfectionism is the belief that one must meet extremely high standards in all aspects of life, often striving for flawlessness and avoiding mistakes at all costs. It can manifest, in various forms: fear of failure, fear of judgment, or the need for control.
Okay. And so in order to compare, authenticity is the practice of being true to oneself, as we have been emphasizing, embracing imperfections, experiencing genuine thoughts, emotions, actions without pretending to be something you're not. And authenticity involves being comfortable with vulnerability and accepting flaws as a part of what makes you unique. And I love it because we have mentioned these things. Mention these things. Yeah, Erica is still recovering.
Yeah. But I'm back. I'm good.
Erica is still recovering from the flu.
Look, I had the flu. What's it been, 3 weeks now? Wow. It was like 3 weeks ago I had the flu. And y'all, this cough is about to kill me. I don't know. And I'm not the only one. Like, literally everybody around me that has had the flu has this lagging cough. I don't know
Just
what
a different
strand.
strain, or
Well, apparently I had flu A, but
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm hoping that you feel better soon, which I'm sure everybody else does, and
Yeah,
that you're
I'm
able to get
sure.
rid of that soon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with the definition of authenticity, literally the definition of what I just said are things we at least talked about in our last two episodes about being vulnerable, being flawless.
Mm-hmm.
We're not being flawless, but accepting that you do have flaws and owning that and being comfortable with that. So I love that.
So let's talk a little bit about perfectionism.
Let's do it.
I mentioned that it can manifest in a fear of, so a fear of failure, a fear of judgment, fear. It operates out of fear. I can say that for myself, I have always been a perfectionist, and I never until like we started, kind of looking into this topic. Like I never realized that I have been operating out of fear. And mine has been mostly like fear of failure. Like
I remember we've talked about that before. Yeah.
Like I don't know. I have this idea that, I have to have everything just right. Like I have to succeed like above and beyond.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I'm a failure. So, and then also with the failure, if I fail, then I'll be judged. I'll be looked down upon. I mean, so,
so your perfection, I guess your tendency to be a perfectionist stems from those two, the fear of failure and the fear of judgment. I feel like I've been more of a perfectionist. I can't even say it. It just depends. I feel like previously, probably like middle school, high school, up to college, even into graduate school, wanting to be a perfectionist, it was like I wanted to be perfect at everything. As I've gotten older, things that are more valuable to me are then the things that I want to be a perfectionist at. What it stems from for me, I don't know if I can say, because it's not, I mean, I guess it could be fear of failure, but I've never really been one who's, feared failure. It's been more I can't even talk. Fear of regret is more of my thing. Like regret of not trying things. Regret of like not taking an opportunity has been my fear of life, in general has been more of that. So what for me stems that brings about like me wanting to be a perfectionist at times. I don't know. I need to think about that. I really don't know, but I can't say it's the previously mentioned things because I don't think it's those. So I should think about that.
I mean, I'm just thinking back to like nursing school, for instance. Like I have to make this grade because and then I will be like, oh my God, I'm so scared that I'm not going to be able to, do this, or I'm so scared that it's not going to work out. Like perfectionism really does operate out of fear for me, at least. Yeah.
When I was younger, when I'm thinking about when I was younger, perfectionism did come out of the fear of judgment that I couldn't do something as well as people expected me to, I guess. So I would spend a lot of time doing things to get them almost perfect so nobody would have anything to say. That I couldn't achieve what they expected me to, whether I believed I could or not. It was based off what I thought, what their expectations were of me. Oh, it's so annoying just thinking about that now. I hated that I was that way, but that's my past. But reflecting on it now, it's good to think about those things. It's just so annoying that I think about it.
So you don't feel like you operate out of that anymore?
No, if I do, it's very minor and it only happens here and there versus how often and how strong it was. back then. That's why I'm thinking about, because I feel like I feel the energy I felt back then, and it bothers me that I felt that strongly about the fear of being judged based off how well I performed at something. Yeah, I could feel it. It was a lot of energy. I took myself back to that place. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I guess I mean, we on this journey. We always talk about that. And I'm trying not to operate that way anymore. But I think I still do. Especially, I know I've brought this up before, but like my I guess high expectations for myself to be a good mother.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and like I look at like what my child can do and the things he knows and what he understands, and I kind of base that off of my success, and I guess that's kind of like my grading myself, like how well I'm doing as a mother.
Sure.
And like for like this week he tested it for a magnet school, and I was scared. I was worried that he wasn't going to make a good score, or he was going to score way below the other kids, and it was going to reflect on how I am or what I've done as a mother.
Interesting.
So that's part of my perfectionism is and now it might be kind of unhealthy, I guess, to kind of push that off on my son. I don't know. I mean, I want him to do well, but I don't want to be so pushy that.
Yeah, it is something it's something great to reflect on, I will say.
Yeah.
That is something to think about, because I know we're at a stage we're working on things for ourselves, including me with my nephew. The fears or the vulnerabilities that I have, not wanting those to rub off on him too. So it's definitely something to reflect on.
Right.
For sure. And I remember you did bring up, your fear about not being a great mom. And I remember bringing up the job that I currently have and how I exaggerated my skill level on it initially. And so when I mentioned that the perfectionism comes up here and there for the judgment of others, that is when it comes up in my current life. Wanting to prove that I succeed as much as I'm as skilled as I said I was when I first started the job. So that does come into play. And with the current job that I have, it's very different than jobs I've had in the past. And so with this job, before, several people did the job that I was doing, like with me every day. This job, my roles are so specific, only I am doing them. And so how the outcomes, turn out is immediately reflective upon me and how I, did the job, how well I did the job. So that's also different. And like I said, my previous job, I was there for 6 years. So this is a whole new environment, which I'm sure might be the usual thing that most people deal with every day. But for me, it's new, like returning to this type of environment, which is good. It's a great challenge. But that is something, that I think about in regards to perfectionism right now. Creating words.
It's like professionalism and perfectionism put together.
I know.
That's funny. So how do you feel that perfectionism affects mental health?
I can see it stressing somebody out so much, like it's a burden every day to just live life.
Yeah, I mean, if you're operating out of fear, that's going to cause stress, anxiety. That could definitely lead to some mental health issues. Definitely burnout. Yeah. Trying to do the most all the time and do the most perfectly will lead you to burning out.
Yeah. It's inevitable. Yeah.
And then when you don't perform at this high expectation and your report card comes back and it's not where you thought it was going to be, you're going to have feelings of inadequacy.
Yeah. And after you have burned yourself out with all this effort you put into, and then to have a negative feedback, that I could see that sending somebody spiraling.
Yeah.
Because you realize that all your work that you have just completed technically wasn't good enough. Let's say quotes, air quotes, good enough. Yeah.
So even like the smallest things, the smallest mistakes can like send somebody into, I don't know, an anxiety attack. I don't know.
No, for real. I can see that.
So, but we just have to not look at those things as, if we don't basically perform and get the expected outcome.
Yeah.
Those are just learning moments, you know? You just have to learn from those things. So
yeah, and when thinking about authenticity kind of like, and we'll get into this too, authenticity kind of like battles against perfectionism. Why do I keep saying perfectionism? Perfectionism. Jeez. Yeah, so kind of
she tried to be a perfectionist professional person.
Sure. That is so funny. But yeah, so authenticity combats perfectionism. It can. And so again, with authenticity, it's like you're deliberately looking at your imperfections and you're accepting those as yourself. You know, you are like self-acceptance and inner peace when you do realize that like these imperfect things about you are a part of you. They are you. And it's okay. Yeah, and so with that, they can alternate. So I do have a question.
All right.
If you are authentic, if you consider yourself to be authentic, can you be a perfectionist?
You can, yes.
Okay.
Because I feel perfection, when we think about being a perfectionist, you are trying to live and perform under somebody else's standards.
Okay.
But if you want to be authentic, you can still have standards for yourself that you can be perfect at. You can have your own perfect standards. Yes.
Just the standard is different.
You can have you can be perfectly authentic.
I love it. Perfectly authentic. The standards have changed and who's holding, I guess, I don't know, the criteria for because it's still yourself. You're holding the criteria for what you consider to be perfect. You're just doing it for a different reason. You're doing it for the acceptance of others. You know, prevention of fear and judgment versus it being for you when you're authentic. Becoming a perfect, what'd you say?
Perfectly authentic.
Perfectly. When you're becoming perfectly authentic, it's more focused on you and your authentic self, your inner peace, and you can still have things that's just focused on that versus like on someone else's expectations.
Right.
Okay.
I love it.
Yes.
So, what is the cost of being a perfectionist? We talk about stress, anxiety, fear of failure,
loss of identity.
Yeah.
Yes, loss of identity.
Trying to please everybody else. You lose yourself.
And every time I think about people like losing themselves again, because I've been there before and still go in and out of it now, depending on how focused I get on what other people want, you know, that's going on in my life. I know how helpless I feel when that happens as I'm trying to get back on track. Or like even when I'm in the moment, like in the process of losing myself because I'm so focused on somebody else, I know how that feels, and it's the feeling is so negative, it's so heavy that when I think about other people experiencing that, like, it bothers me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want other people to feel helplessness and lose their identity, because everybody's identity is so important. I feel like I'm like on these high clouds, just like everything's happy. And that's what I would love. But, we're in a different world, especially nowadays. But I want to continue being hopeful and happy and optimistic about life, because either way, no matter what's happening in the world, this is still an individual experience, your individual life. You still have one life no matter what happens. So it's still important to have topics like this that allows you to focus on yourself in a, in a positive way.
Right. So I feel these stressors, these standards that people basically think that they have to live up to and be this perfectionist. Some things you really need to step back and really think, is this really realistic for me? Like, is this standard that I'm trying to live up to really, is it really realistic? Like, people try to live and be unrealistic, like live up to these unrealistic standards.
I don't think people sometimes even realize that their standards are unrealistic. Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference in reaching for the clouds. And like, I'm not saying that you can't live out your dreams and be what you want to be. I'm not saying that things are unattainable. If it's something that you're really striving for, but sometimes you put these pressures on yourself. You really need to think, like, is it really realistic at this moment for me to be this stressed about this? Like, what is real? Like, let's take some steps back. Like, maybe eventually you can become this standard that you're wanting, but in the space that you're in right now, why are you stressing yourself to be up here when you're still climbing?
No, that's a good point. So you're saying not to let go of those dreams, the big dreams that are going to take a while, that are out of reach right now, but just taking a step back, reflecting in the moment, and asking yourself, basically, should you be pursuing it? Is this kind of unrealistic at the current stage that you're in? That's a good point. Yeah. I guess the question is too, because our topic is breaking free from I cannot talk today. Oh my gosh. Breaking free from unrealistic expectations.
Brittany, don't make me laugh. You gonna make me cough?
Sorry. I know every time I do something that you find funny, you just have a cough attack. Sorry, guys. Okay. Keeping it together. Keeping it. Okay. So breaking free from unrealistic expectations. How do we do that? First step, as they say, realizing that you have a problem, realizing that you need to evaluating, seeing if you do have unrealistic expectations. I would say, like, breaking down, I guess I realized I've started putting our homework in the middle of our conversations. Now, break down your daily expectations to figure out, for one, if it's unrealistic, but again, like, holding on to authenticity, like, to figure out if you truly care about the things that you do on a daily basis that take so much energy from you is another thing. Like, asking yourself, do I even care about the things that are stressing me out on a daily basis? Because that could also help you to break from those unrealistic expectations, is just by evaluating, which things, just by the lack of your desire for doing them, or, that they're just not important to you. That could help you start to take away some of those expectations, like, right off the bat, because you're realizing that you really don't care about them. They're causing you stress unnecessarily. And those could be the first things to go. Potentially. It depends on everybody. But yeah.
So it's possible to have a balance between the two. It is. So you can still strive to be that high. Like we were just saying, we can still strive to be up here. But
as we
you
should,
just
yeah.
And those little mistakes that we make along the way, don't look at that as failures. Look at that as lessons. Lessons, not failures. Those are things that you learn along the way. And you accept the mistakes and the flaws as part of your journey. We're on a journey.
I've actually, when you said don't look at them as failures, look at them as lessons. I don't know, maybe this just is me and my self-talk. And so, actually, when you were talking about how you should look at them as lessons and not failures, something that I actually do it myself, I guess it's kind of like a reality check that works well for me is I will acknowledge, some outcomes as failures because again, it's like a reality check. And so me acknowledging it as that, it lets me know that I need to recalibrate. I need to think about like how to do things differently to get a different outcome. And so when I acknowledge it as failures, it's lessons too. I feel like I learn lessons every single day and they can be very annoying. But when it comes to, I guess, like bigger things, I will acknowledge them as failures. And that's just what works well for me. It's kind of like a reality check, but yeah, you kind of failed at this attempt at this thing. You need to like rethink how to come up with a different outcome. Yeah. So but that's just what works well for me.
Just like coming up with a different approach. But I mean, you're still looking at it, even though you're saying, oh, I failed at this. You're still saying, I failed at this, but I learned this from this experience.
Oh, yeah. So when I say that I've acknowledged it as a failure, it's not like, well, okay, well, that was a failure. I'm not going to ever try this again. Or this isn't meant to be. It's never like that. Not for me anyways. So I feel like I know I will have acknowledged to have failed at several things in my lifetime. But I've also tried those things again and have succeeded at them. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, I'll also say this too, because I feel like I have not broken free from unrealistic expectations. I feel that I probably, as I was thinking about this topic, I was like, I really need to do the evaluation that I'm asking everybody else to do on what is authentic to me and the things that I have to do. Well, I am not going to, not that I have to do, that I choose to do and have to do on a daily basis. I need to take the time to think about which of these things are authentic to me, which of these things do I actually want to do every day. Because what I have a tendency of doing is trying to do multiple things, bring multiple aspects of my life into my daily life when nobody said that I had to do that. So I create these stresses for myself when nobody said that I had to try to accomplish these same things every day. Like I could do some things on this day, I could do some things on this day, or some things just shouldn't be there. And so I feel like it is important to just think about it from an authentic point of view. Think about the things that stress you out, about the things in your life. And just see what things, and like Erica said, the things that are a part of your life and should be a part of your authentic life, but just maybe it shouldn't be pursued right now with everything else you have going on.
Take some baby steps.
Yeah, take some baby steps.
Self-compassion on yourself. To have some compassion for yourself.
Yes, that is important. You have to. Remember, you're not perfect. Love on yourself a little bit. Realize this is a journey. And even when you succeed, there may be times when you learn lessons. When you learn lessons, there'll be times when you succeed. Just like show yourself some love and recognize that you're not perfect and it's okay.
Yes. Mistakes do not define you. They don't define your worth.
They don't. They don't.
So, it kind of brings me to our quote for today.
Okay.
Our quote for today says, "The most valuable thing you can make is a mistake. You can't learn anything from being perfect."
I love that. I've actually never heard that. Who is that by?
Adam Osborne.
Adam Osborne. Say it one more time.
One more time for the people in the back.
One more time for the people in the back here. Sorry, y'all. I was following your lead. I'm sorry.
The most valuable thing you can make is a mistake. You can't learn anything from being perfect.
Yeah, I love that. So relevant.
It is.
Yes, but
okay, well, this was a great topic today.
It was. I think so. I hope you guys learned from it. Thank you again for joining us this week. We hope that you join us next week as we continue to surprise you with topics for our next mystery, introspection, conception. You can't know until you come back next week.
Yes.
But as always, we are open to hearing ideas for topics. We already have incorporated some from our bona fide baddies and daddies. So we are welcoming that. Yes, thank you again. You can follow us on social media. We have Instagram, which is learning2be_bonafide. And Facebook is BE Bonafide Podcast. We have a YouTube channel, which I think we forgot to mention last time. Our YouTube channel is
Learning. I think it's
L2. I know. I'm sorry, God. Every time. L, the number 2, BE Bonafide.
Yes. But you can still search it, learning the number 2, BE Bonafide. So
yeah, sorry guys. This happens every time. When we first started announcing our social media accounts, I swear I just had a blank every time. Just like now.
Yeah, we on there. Just look us up. We on there. I don't remember. It's something to do with being bona fide or something.
Exactly, but that's not professional, so I do apologize. Erica, thank you for telling everybody what it is so they can actually find us. But we'll also plan to be on Apple Podcasts soon, still working through that, and to have interviews with people soon. But thank you all again for joining us this week. We hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Wherever you are, we will catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.